Welcome to another episode of They Not Like Us, the show where we dive deep into the real stories behind resilience, reinvention, and leadership. Today, I've got an incredible guest with a story that will inspire you to rethink how you approach business and life. Richard Walsh is a Marine, a champion boxer, and a black belt, but most importantly, he's a man who faced complete devastation during the 08/09 financial crisis. He lost everything, including his home, while supporting his wife and six children under the age of 4. But instead of giving up, Richard took a hard look at his failures, connected the dots, and rebuilt his life and business from the ground up. Today, Richard is a best-selling author of Escape the Owner Prison and a highly sought-after mentor for entrepreneurs who want to break free from the trap of serving their business instead of letting it serve them. He's on a mission to help 10,000 businesses thrive by focusing on what he calls the 5 most important areas of life: faith, family, finances, fitness, and friendships. In this episode, Richard will share his journey from losing it all to helping business owners not just survive, but truly thrive. Get ready for some powerful insights on how to create freedom, profit, and impact in your business, and why it's more important now than ever. Hello, welcome back to another episode of They Not Like Us. I'm your host, Aaron, and I'm very, very happy to introduce our guest today is Richard Walsh. Richard, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Absolutely, Aaron. First, thanks for having me on. I'm excited for this. It's going to be great. Yes, I've been in business, an entrepreneur. We'll call it an entrepreneur for about 35 years now. Started back when I got out of the U.S. Marine Corps in the late 80s and started working. Real simple story, swinging a pickaxe, digging trench for $5 an hour. Very exciting job. Didn't see a lot of future in that, but someone had given me a side gig and said, hey, can you help me do some work at the house, right? Move a 35-ton pile of granite from the front yard, shovel it, and put it in the backyard. This is in Tucson, Arizona. So I said, I can do that. So I spent my last $85 before payday on a wheelbarrow and a shovel. Showed up on Saturday morning. It took me about 10 hours and 100 degrees, and I knocked it out. And here's the best part, Aaron. The guy came out, and he put $1,000 in my hand and said, thank you. And I'm looking at this $1,000. Like, man, I did this yesterday for $40. Okay, swinging that pickaxe. I'm like, I know my future. Okay, I'm going to work for myself. And that kind of started the whole entrepreneurial journey. And it was great. And that went into the landscaping. That went into custom water features, so backyard water gardens. And I added custom steel sculpture to that, taught myself how to weld, and became world-class with that, did world-class exhibits. And I was one of the best in the nation and scaled my business. And everything was humming. I was just I've been published, I'm on TV and all the cool stuff. Then 08/09 came and things kind of constricted the economy. And I kind of lost my business. Things were going down, right? So right at the end of 08, November 5th, 2008, started right after our election here. I lost $500,000 on that day of people canceling contracts, holding on to their money. That was the beginning of the cliff, Aaron. And then it just kept going off from there. So by early 09, I'm like, yeah, I tried some stuff that didn't work. I'm like, I think we're done. And the big thing for me, Aaron, was at that time I had 6 children, 4 years and younger. Okay, so you can imagine that kind of crazy going on. Now I'm losing everything, including my home. I'm losing my home now, losing my business. Like, there's nothing happening. What am I going to do? And I woke up one morning where we're still trying to limp along, and I started thinking about my kids, and they love I come home no matter what time it is, they attack me, they love me, jump all over me. I was leaving one day in my truck, and one of my sons is running down the driveway after my truck crying because I'm leaving. So I'm looking at that little guy in the mirror as he gets smaller and smaller because I'm going to work. I got to go to work. And I'm like, man, what am I doing? And that epiphany came to me right then, Aaron, that my kids don't care what I do for business, how great I am or not great at that, right? How many trucks I have, what kind of house we live in. None of that mattered to them, all that stuff. And I realized, if I stay on this business first, business is everything. I, sacrifice everything else to win at business. I said, I'm going to actually ruin their lives because they're going to have failed marriages, broken relationships. They may be good at business, but there's no way everything else is going to work. Only because of what they saw me do, not what I told them to do. I always like to make this distinction for people. You can tell your kids lots of things, but more is caught than taught. So when things get tight later and they're 30, 25, 30, 35, the default's going to be what you did. And they're going to go to that. So I'm like, oh, I can't do that. So I literally got up that day, went in and shut the business down. Told my office manager, we're done today. Let's wrap it up. Went to my construction yard. Told my guys, we're finishing up this week. These guys been with me for over 10 years. Best guys ever, like family. And I just couldn't do it anymore. I didn't know what I was going to do, but we were going this direction anyway. So I just put the end to it right there and said, okay, I got to move. I got to relocate. I got to do all this stuff. And I put all that together, again, still not knowing what to do, but then I had to move forward. Now, the people don't kind of get what I did because I'm all or nothing. So I didn't keep some of my stuff. I didn't try to do side work because not that was the best decision, but I sold everything. I haven't welded in 15 years. I haven't made water features in 15 years. Okay, we moved, we relocated, did the whole thing, started new businesses, right? I started getting into training, did some stuff open a gym, a construction business. That did well, but did it all differently. And then I started helping other businesses, right? They said, well, how'd you go from all that to nothing back to this? So I started giving some advice, mentoring, things like that. And then as an entrepreneur, okay, mentoring is something you do for free, right? It's free advice. Your friends want you to help them, and that's all good. I don't have a problem with that. But as an entrepreneur, coaching, you get paid. So I said, well, I'm gonna build a coaching business. And as a matter of fact, I'm gonna write a book. And the book's gonna be called "Escape the Owner Prison: The Contract's New Way to Scale, Regain Control, and Fast Track Growth While Loving Life." And I'm gonna build my whole academy around that. And I got a bestseller status on that. I'm like, oh, that's great. Then just started coaching people, and that became the thing. I was really, really great at it. So I was making a lot of strides with that. And that kind of brings us up to where we're at today. And now my big movement is to help 10,000 business owners escape the owner prison, right? To create freedom, profit, and impact in their business. Because most people, when they get into business, especially early on, they're going to work very hard for the first couple of years. There's no way around that. I always tell people, if you've got the secret sauce for that, where you don't have to work hard when you start, please share it. Give me the recipe, because I've never found it, right? So the problem is, and we get going, we're working really hard. We're wearing all the hats. We're doing all the work. Maybe we got a couple of people working for us and stuff, making a little bit of money. But next thing you know, 10 years has gone by and you've repeated the first 2 years 5 times. That's when you're trapped. You can go on a week or two on a vacation, but you're going to call in every day to make sure the place hasn't burned down. That's just how it works, right? Or you're taking client calls while you're sitting on the beach, right? Stuff like that. You're not having a good time at all, and your family does not get your attention. So that's the owner prison. So what I do now is help owners escape that completely, systemize their business, have it run itself, so they can work on that 5% of the business that only they can do.
Yeah, so many small businesses, especially, they're in that category, aren't they? They start a business because they want that freedom and an element of control a lot of the time, and then they have less because they're in it all the time. They constantly live in it. They constantly, if they don't even have to be, they feel like they have to be the one that's always driving it forward, always doing everything on it. And I guess that's an important skill at the start, like you say, to get it up and going and get it going in the right direction. But then how do you actually take your foot off the gas a little bit and give other people then the reins? I think that's really difficult for people.
Yeah, it's a real challenge, because, and the funny thing is, they get into business for freedom because they think, oh, I got my own business. I'll do what I want when I want. The profit, they're going to make lots of money, and impact. Hey, they can help people, right? They can do things, they can do things for others because they have this, and they never get to that point. Some go 20 years and never get to that. They stay that 1 or 2 man show, or just, again, they have to run it. And so it's a pattern that I discovered. That's why I wrote the book too. I weave my story into it, all the stuff I went through the first 20 years and then after, and what to do. And you're right. So it's like, now what do they do? Well, there's one simple thing, and it's like we're here in the beginning of this show, and I'm going to jump to the end, metaphorically speaking. Okay. You really want to start with an exit strategy. That's where people that's what they don't do before they launch their business. They don't go to the end. How long are you going to do this? Why are you going to do it for that long? How much do you want when you sell the business? Are you going to sell the business? Do you think you're going to hand it down to your children? Which I highly recommend you don't do. Don't put that expectation on your children. Okay. Especially if your business is a hot mess. because they want nothing to do with it. Okay, now if you build it like we're going to talk about here, and it's a beautiful thing, and they see you having lunch with mom whenever you want, going golfing and hanging out and going on a great vacation with the family, they'll probably want part of that business. But if it's you every day, like a slave, okay, they want nothing to do with it. Okay, so they may take it from you, they're going to turn around and sell it and take the cash. So let's just be wise here, right? So what we're going to do is
Yeah.
go to the end, right? Like, okay, so is it 10 years? Is it 15? Is it 20? How much you want to sell for? $1 million, 5 million, 10 million, 100 million, whatever you want to do. Okay, those are two things you can start with. Now what? Okay, now you have to reverse engineer all that. So if I'm here at the start or today, because the two best times to make an exit strategy, Aaron, are before you launch your business, and the second time is right now. Okay, because if you don't have one, you need one right now.
It's funny you say it, because when we work a job, we go into a job, we want to know when we can get our pension, when we can leave. Well, we look at our exit strategy all the time, aren't we? Or if this isn't going to sustain me once I want to retire, so I'll try this next job. This has a better pension. This has better prospects for the future. We do it when we work a job, so why don't we do it when we start a business?
That's a great point, right? Because you're never going to end. That's why, Aaron. I'm never going to not do this. I'm going to do this forever. I love this is my passion. And when they say it's your passion, you never work a day in your life. Yay. Okay, that's a bunch of garbage. Okay. Like, dude, you can have the passion. You need the passion, but you're going to work. Okay, especially in the beginning. But the whole thing about creating that freedom, and what is that end number? What are you going to do? Here's the best thing about it. Even if you go 10 years and you've done everything right, you got this beautiful business, you don't have to sell. You can move the goalpost and go a little further. If you're making a ton of money, having a great time, and doing all the things you need to do, why do you don't have to stop? It's not like I reached, oh, you've been at the company for 30 years, you got to retire now. You're too old or whatever. They make you retire, right? It's like forced retirement. So we don't want to do that, but you have that flexibility. But the key of having that end strategy, that number, because again, talking to reverse engineering, you have to look, okay, well, what do I need to do with my business to reach that? Because people will start the business because they're a great craftsman or a technician, right? They're really good at what they do. And they assume, hey, I can be better than the guy I'm working for. He's a clown. I'm gonna go do this on my own. They start their thing. But they don't know business. They know their craft. They know their trade, right? Which is great. But this is where it's going to develop into a problem, right? Because they don't know things to do. So now if you start with the end, you work back, go, okay, well, now here I am, just me, starting my business. Okay, I'm going to have to do a lot of different things. But when am I going to hire my first person? I actually know now. Is when I'm do $250,000 in revenue. That's a good little milestone. Okay, maybe then I can fit someone in and pay them X amount, right? But then when will I need the next person? What does that look like? How am I going to generate this income? Now you got that rolling. Now you got people, 5 people, 10 people, whatever. Now you're starting to hum and you're making money because you've laid all this stuff out. But there's another problem. Let's say you start making 7 figures a year of personal salary. You're making $1 million a year. Good number. That's really nice. You probably don't need all that to live on. All right. So let's say you're making that. We call it our active business income, right? What the business is generating for us. If I get to 10 years and I make a deal with someone, I sell it for $10 million. Okay. What did I lose? $1 million a year of income, right? So I got 10 at the end, but now I don't get $1 million a year anymore. That's kind of sad, right? So we have a plan. If you have the exit and then come back to the beginning, say, okay, here's what I'm going to do. As I'm generating income, as it grows, I'm going to acquire assets that produce income for me. Whatever that might be. It could be rental properties, it could be other businesses, it could be Bitcoin. I don't care what it is, but what's going to start generating income for you. So now you know, hey, I'm going to need like $83,000 a month at that 10-year mark to maintain this $1 million. Okay, well, you just keep accumulating the assets, right? You have a place for that money to go as you make it. So now you get to the end, and old Mr. Smith comes over, wants to buy your business because you built it so well. You negotiate the price, you get 10 million, maybe you get 10.5. You shake a hand, he gives you a check, you're out the door, he's in. No one even knows the business sold because it's run so well. But now, poof, even if you don't work again, you still have $1 million a year coming in from your assets. You got the 10 million to build even more, right? So this is some of the great benefits of the exit strategy to really dial your business in. So you have an idea of where you're going, right? And you can actually put a plan into place. Make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And like I say, I know a lot of people who've got businesses and they really focus on let's get it off the ground, let's get it started, and nobody's looking that far ahead. Everybody's looking in a kind of 2-3 year horizon tops, I'd say.
Right. Right. And the
Um,
problem is they've been in for 10 or 15 years and it's time to do an exit. Well, you haven't built anything that someone wants to buy. That's generally the case. You have a lot of depreciating assets, right? Used trucks, tools, whatever you got, right? Office furniture, whatever it is, it's worth nothing. It's worth 10 cents on the dollar if you're lucky, right? No one wants to buy that unless a guy like me can come in and know how to systemize and turn a business around. I basically want your customer list. Okay, I want that. Oh, we got 6,000 customers. Oh, okay, I'll take that, systemize this business out of this thing in high profitability in less than a year, and then now I've grabbed that market share and increased my territory, and it cost me 10 cents on the dollar. Meanwhile, you poor guy's out with 100 grand. That's all he gets. He's going to outlive that, guaranteed, right? So we want to make sure like we understand where we're going. We want something someone wants to buy, and they want that exchange. They want to come in, hand you the money, whatever you negotiated on. You're out there and no one knows, right? Now they can tweak it and do what they want, but that's the business someone wants to buy because they don't want to come in and reinvent everything. They don't have
you,
they don't have space for that.
you might as well start up your own if you're going to do that. If you're going to have to redo
Right.
everything from scratch, and you win over the customers again, etc. You're going to have to you might as well start your own at that point.
Right. It's so, but this is where the majority of small businesses are. They get to that point because again, they just wanted to get started, which I can absolutely appreciate. I call it ignorance on fire. Right. You're just excited. You got a skill. You go, let's take it. Let's start making money, sell some jobs. And that's important. Forget the accounting and all the other stuff in the beginning that everyone else wants you to focus on, which drives you into the dirt. It's just agony. It's like you're tortured with schoolwork and homework. It's horrible. And you're not out selling. You can put all the accounting and all that stuff in place, but you haven't sold anything. Why are you spending time on that when you should really be hiring that out anyways? Right? I get QuickBooks and do your little thing, but you need to go sell product or service. Whatever you're offering, you got to make money because all the other stuff is inconsequential if you don't make money. So there's a balance there, right? But again, once you have a path, now you understand where you have to go and when you have to do things. It's a really, really critical aspect. And it becomes an incredible business filter, Aaron. So when you start doing well, if you've ever done really well in the business, these magical little opportunity fairies show up. And they want to give you the fairy dust of, hey, your friend comes, I got a great way for you to make money, man. You need to invest in this. You need to do this. Go, okay, yeah, that sounds good, man. Let me take a look at it. You take that, you run it through your exit strategy. Does it get me closer and sooner to my exit strategy, or does it take away from it? If it detracts, it's a hard no. If it gets me closer, let's go. If I can put another spoke on the hub of my wheel that relates to my business and gets me closer to my exit, I'm all for it. I'm not against that. But I get that tool, that business filter, that exit strategy to be the filter, right? To help me make those decisions quantifiably, not emotionally. Because we all know emotional decisions are bad ones. It's like getting that goofy tattoo when you're 18 and by the time you're 30, you're going, what did I put that on my arm for? Right?
Yeah, I got one of those on my shoulder.
Yeah. making decisions on temporary feelings instead of making permanent decisions on temporary feelings. You gotta be careful of that.
Yeah, I've fallen into that trap a lot myself, but it's easily done, isn't it? Especially if if you're in a business and it's your thing that you've created, you're really emotionally attached to it, and you might not think logically, and if you haven't got a plan, you might just be like just emotionally reacting to stuff that you think at the time is what's best, without actually looking at that long term horizon, planning out your steps, and understanding where you want to go. Because if you don't know where you want to go, you could end up anywhere.
Right. I always tell people, you're exactly right. I go, if I'm in New York in my car and I want to go to California, all I know is to go west. So the good news is I'm going to see all of America driving all over the place, right? The bad news is I'm going to end up at the Gulf of Mexico thinking I'm at the Pacific. Okay, so it's not gonna end well for me, right? So you really have to have this plan. And I was never that first one was never a big planner. I'm just building great things, and I'm making a ton of money, and no one can do what I do. And now I'm world class, and I'm doing all this. I'm like, wow, they made a documentary on me. That's really cool, But guess what? All that poof went away when the economy collapsed, right? So, and it wasn't the economy, Aaron, that took me out. It was all the stuff I didn't do in my business. I call it pushing it to the left of my desk. Yeah, I'll get to that. I need to go out and be me. Okay. I'm an artist. I'm a builder. I'm gonna be out there. Let's say, yeah, enough about me. Let's talk about me, right? So that was the whole thing, and I really ignored that stuff. And those holes, you start getting more and more holes in your bucket, and pretty soon the whole thing is going to collapse. And that's just what happens. So the 0809 collapse was just the final indicator, right? Like you're doing wrong things. So I'll show you. You're going to have nothing.
Yeah, I mean, it was a difficult time for a lot of people, but like I say, if you're not got your ducks in a row, there's a really, really difficult time, wasn't it?
I think
I
I think
was
the
go on.
but I was saying
Go on.
I think the problem is that people don't. We're all optimists. As an entrepreneur, you're usually kind of a natural optimist, so you can overcome. And I would like, oh, how much do we need? I'll go make that. I'll go make more money. I'll go make more money. But you don't really ever expect it's going to affect you. But you also have to look at history, where there's Great Depressions. They happen all the time. Like you have to shore up your business and make it recession proof, even collapse proof, right? More millionaires were made in the Great Depression here than any other time in history. Okay. And it was the worst time in our history, but it made the most millionaires. So think about that, right? People who are poised for this stuff, you're ready. You've built your business to withstand this kind of stuff, and you're able to pivot, acquire new business who are going under, right? That's a great time. I mean, it's an opportunity. If you're ready for it, you can do that. But yeah, it's a rude awakening for many people.
Yeah, and a lot of us don't like to think about the worst case scenario, especially when we're trying to build something. We do try to be positive, and we're looking at all the figures that the money we're gonna make over the next 3 years, 4 years, without actually having a plan to survive the tough times and and the difficulties, because inevitably there are downs. Even in a good successful business, there's going to be periods of downtime that you need to be able to survive and get through. And we don't really like to prepare for them. I don't anyway. I'm terrible for it. I'm all sunshine and rainbows when I'm planning stuff.
Well, it's good. It's just like are you familiar with Parkinson's law?
No.
Parkinson's law is regarding money. If your money, your income, or whatever you have doesn't have a plan, doesn't have a place to go, it will evaporate. So if I'm making $50,000 a month and I'm just all happy looking at my pile of money, it's all going to go away. You're going to spend it on stupid things. You're going to buy a boat. You're going to get this. You're going to get that. Living large. You're going to be standard of living, right? You're going to spend everything you make. Just keep getting more things, the bigger house and all that. But if now you're making $50,000 a month, okay, I need to put 10,000 of this. I got 3,000 of this. I got 7,000 of recapitalization. I've got replacement. You start to divide your money, and it all has by percentage, like it all has a place to go. That's how you succeed. If you don't, it's just you're all happy. Like I just did a job for $250,000 and I made $100,000 on that. Yay, I got $100,000 with no plan. Okay, I'm like I don't know what you want to call it, some street junkie. Okay, I'm just going to go spend it on things that make me feel good, because whatever, I'll just make more of this will happen again. It's that fantasy we tell ourselves in our mind. But I am fortunate now to have been on both sides of that fence. So I know the feeling of that. If you've been in business a lot, Aaron, I don't know if this is how you are. When you make that sale, I don't care if it's $1,000, $5,000, $50,000, whatever. It is like heroin. You just go, oh, and you kind of sit back because you just got relief for this time period, right? You just got an influx of cash. You might have been wondering where payroll is going to come from next week, right? And then all of a sudden you get this, you just kind of sit back and go, oh, you kind of drift off like you just took a shot of heroin or something, I mean, I was just saying that, and that might just be me, but it's an unbelievable dopamine hit, right? It really that's it. So you start living for that, right? It's a very odd thing. And again, maybe this is just me, but again, I work with a lot of clients and it seems to be similar. That is it's seductive. That make more money, get more is seductive, but you never have a plan for it. And that's what ruins you.
Yeah, I can imagine that's pretty addictive. You have that one good month, it's gonna make you chasing that all the time, and I'd be very, very similar that way. I think if that was me with business. And to go back to what you're saying about how you live to your means essentially, don't you? If you don't have a plan for your money, and it's the same with people with jobs. I've seen it myself firsthand. People get promoted, or they'll buy a new car, they get a new
Mhm.
house, and they're just driving that cost of living up. So actually, they're not any better off, or they're still in the same position. They've earned more, they
Right.
got nicer things, but they're still
Mhm.
struggling and have no um, safety net, shall we say, for things that go wrong.
Yeah, we call it, so you have standard of living and you have quality of life. Those are the two things. Standard of living is what you just described, right? Quality of life is you have margin, you have time in your life to do the things you want to do, right? So it's all about creating margin in your life, and that's time for you because that money's replenishable. We just spent how long talking about it, right? Go make more. It's the easiest thing to do in business is make money. Everything else is hard. Okay, and people may disagree, but I'm telling you, making money is the easiest thing you could do. Okay, it's everything else is really difficult. But quality of time, like I said, what we went into it for freedom, profit and impact. Well, freedom is time. That's what freedom is. Can I leave for 3 weeks and not call into business to see if it burned down? Right, that kind of thing. Like, what am I actually doing with my time? Am I helping others? Am I spending time with my kids? Do I go to every one of their games? Do I go to their plays, their music recitals, all the things they do? Can I be there? Can I be there with them, supporting them, letting them know that we're solid, right? And I care. That is true because once. So here's an example: your 7-year-old kid is on the soccer team, right? Your son or daughter, whatever it is, and you're there running, they're playing, or you're not there because you're busy with the business. They score their first goal of their life. Okay. And your son looks into the stands and you're not there. He's only looking for you. And you're not there because you're working. I'm air quoting here, right? That's quality of life. You've just what did you just tell your child? Business is first. Can't do it. I got to do this, right? I'm making this great sacrifice for you, son. Meanwhile, you'll never get that time back. You'll never get that first goal back. You'll never see him play. You'll never see him look for you in the stands. Just it's still like I think about that because I was on that road, and it was that thing that really, and I don't know why I knew that, why that came to me. I kind of thank God for it. Like He put that in my heart before my kids got, they're only the oldest was 4. So I'm like, okay, so it just really worked out. But you don't want to miss that. You want to create your business so that's what you work for. Now, don't quit your business. This is important. Don't walk away from your business and get a job so you can be around because you won't be around. You'll be tired. You'll be frustrated. You'll get a job that pays a lot of money, which means they'll work you to death, right? You'll put in a lot of hours. You'll be on that and you're still never going to show up, right? There's nothing better than entrepreneurship because you do own your time. Now, I get the saying, I'm an entrepreneur so I can choose the 80 hours a week that I work. So someone was telling me, but we don't want to live that way, right? We want to fix this so that we can be there for our family, so I can do the things I actually enjoy doing. And you're not going to do that if you're focused on gross revenue. Let's just put it that way, right? If that's all that matters to you, if that's a scorecard, that's going to be a challenge for you from a quality of life standpoint.
Yeah, it's more than just having the time, isn't it? It's having the energy and being present in that time as well when you have it. So it's all very well having the time with your family, but if you're not present and your mind's on something else, or you're checking your emails while you're there and doing all this other stuff, then you're not actually going to have the best of that time either.
That's right. It's terrible. I mean, again, more is caught than taught. When you're on this goofy thing all the time, what do you think your kids are going to do? I mean, they don't need any coaching on being on screens, right? They seem to have figured that out pretty well, and that's all they're on. Now you're just reinforcing it. Then you give them a phone to be a babysitter when they're like 6. Okay, and my kids, I waited till they're teenagers to get a phone, and that was helpful. So they're not totally, but I tell them it's a tool or a toy. Because my kids would get my phone when they were younger, like, Dad, you don't have any games on your phone. I go, because Daddy don't play games. I go, this is a work tool because I don't play any video games. I don't do any of that stuff. And they know that about me, right? So again, they're watching what you do. If you're in the stands and your son is running, you're probably still going to miss the goal because you're staring at your stupid phone. Okay, well, he's running around in the field. There's a break, and there he goes. Oh, yeah, way to go, son. Didn't even see it, right? So I'm a little hard on that stuff because I know what it means. I know it. I mean, there's such a connection there, whatever your kids are doing. Again, whether they're on stage, in their first play or whatever that is, man, that is a moment you can never get back. But so let's build the business so you can do that. And it's not 10 years in. You can get there very quickly because that's your plan. That's part of your exit strategy, right?
Yeah, and those moments are massive in a kid's life as well. They're the moments that they remember and that stick with them and that actually shape them growing up. Because if it's something that's really important to them and you're not there or you're not present or you're not particularly paying attention, then that sticks with kids.
Yeah, I can't say it better. I mean, it's just you have to understand. Emerson had a great quote. He said, when you have children, your life is no longer your own. And a buddy of mine told me that long before I was married. I had 6 kids and all that stuff. We were always talking about Thoreau and Emerson. We're comparing all this stuff because we read a lot. And then I'm like, man, I never forgot that. We read that. He told me, and I'm like, man, that is one of the greatest quotes ever. That is something you think about before you get into having children, right? You understand what we're doing here. Okay. We're going to have children. Our lives are no longer our own. It's for them, right? The next 20 years plus. As an old business guy told me one day about kids, he goes, Richard, they're never off the payroll. So again, these little nuggets that are just so awesome. I just never forget that kind of stuff. They're never off the payroll.
Yeah, it's going to be very true, I think. But yeah, it's so crucial and important, isn't it? And as they grow, they will remember stuff, and they will learn from how you've treated them, and probably learn either they'll dislike it so much that when they have kids, they'll be like, right, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do the opposite, or they'll be fortunate enough to have had their moments shared with parents and stuff that they then want to share with their kids. But yeah, it definitely sticks with them, definitely.
Yeah, I think there's a level of intentionality you need to have because with my kids, I didn't want them to grow up like I grew up. Okay. And I don't mean income and stuff like that. I mean attention, abuse or whatever, right? All the stuff. I'm like, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to change that. I have to be very intentional and do this very, very differently. It was a unique situation, but it worked. We homeschooled our kids all the way through high school. My last couple are getting out of high school now, and one's in the Marine Corps, and it's good. They're incredible kids because we were able to give them that time. And I'm not a stay-at-home dad. I'm a business guy. Love business, work in business, grow business. I do that, but I found that balance. And people often talk about that. If you want to talk about work-life balance, we love that little quote, right, Aaron?
Everybody loves work-life balance. Even when you work at big companies, they're all on about work-life balance, but then they don't particularly want to give you any.
No, and they can't tell you how, anyways. Most people who tell you that, they're the same people who they don't have it, for one, but they see you're working really hard and I'm going to air quote succeeding because you're working hard and things are happening right in your business is good, but they're going to tell you it's like dragging you back down. Actually, they're telling you need to slow down because they don't know what work-life balance is, and I'm going to tell you what it is. Okay, but they want to drag you down, and I know people are going to think I'm being a little whatever, but they do. They want to drag you down because you're moving forward. Right? You're moving forward and making things happen. Your business is growing. You're getting recognition, things like that. And what have they done? The ones telling you work-life balance, they've done nothing. They have a job they hate. They work the 5 days a week so they can have 2 days a week off. Right? That's their life. And look for that 2-week vacation once a year. That's the life. That's their life. And they want to suck you right back down into that. because they don't have the energy, the enthusiasm, the know-how to do what you're doing. They don't have the courage to do that, right? But you've taken this on, you're moving forward, so you're going to get that. Now, what is work-life balance, right? Like what is that? Do you have any ideas? When you think about it, do you think it's possible, Aaron? Do you think work-life balance is actually possible? And there's not a right or wrong answer here. I love getting the other entrepreneurs, people who look at this. I want to know what you actually think about it.
Yeah, so it's a really, really good question. And I think work-life balance, what it is for a start, as it is, it's personal to everybody. I don't think there's a blanket, this is right for everyone. I think, some people are more than happy doing 9 to 5 and having their 2 days off, and that works for them, and it works for their family, or maybe they don't have kids or anything, and it just works for them. And maybe that's a really good balance. For me, with kids and stuff, I want more free time than maybe somebody who doesn't, potentially. But I don't. Yeah, it's a really difficult question. I think work-life balance is a level that you're comfortable with, that you have that energy to do something, that you're happy and comfortable with. So work-wise, what you're willing to put in, what you're happy and willing to put in, and what you're happy and willing to sacrifice to put that in, if you know what I mean. So there's a balancing act, and with a work-life balance for me is how much are you willing to sacrifice for this, and vice versa. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's very good. It is very individual, right? You said everyone's in a different place. They're in a different season of their life. And I mean, when I'm 20 building a business, I do whatever I want. I can shovel 35 tons of granite every day if I want to make my money. No one cares. Okay, nobody cares. Just doing my thing. I work all the hours I wanted. It was a beautiful thing, and so it's easy when you're young and you start a business, easier because you don't have any commitments, right? You can just totally focus, be laser focused and do that. But here's the struggle. So you get going in your business, right? And you're doing all this stuff. And then people start to tell you need work-life balance. What I've discovered, and it's taken decades, I call them the 5 Fs. Okay. F is in Foxtrot, right? You got faith, family, finances, fitness, and friendships. There's 5 things in your life. Like, wouldn't that be nice if those 5 were balanced? Okay, faith is my priority for me, right? So I've got that as number 1. Family is my wife and then my kids, right? In that order. And then my finances, remember we talked about Parkinson's law? You don't pay attention to your finances, they tend to go away like anything else. Don't pay attention to your spouse, they'll go away. Don't pay attention to your friends, they'll go away, right? Don't pay attention to your fitness. What's not going to go away is that lean belly. You're just going to get a big old inner tube hanging over your belt, right? So you're going to get that. So you'll get something if you ignore your fitness. But those 5 Fs are like awesome. Like, hey, can I devote some time to those? And for me, like, I'll do it kind of backwards here. Friendships, my big joke, like with my kids, because I'll just put it this way. I tell them, well, on my one hand, if I lose 3 fingers on my hand, all my friends will still fit on that hand. Okay, because that's how concerned I'm about real friends. I want trench buddies, right? I want guys who got my 6. I want to make sure that they'll be there, whatever. So that's not going to be a lot of people. Now I have other circles, right? Who friends, acquaintances, and all that, kind of the outer circles, but not right inside, right? So that's great. Again, the fitness, it's a priority for me, right? I work out 5 days a week. I hit the bag. I keep my skills sharp. I want to stay dangerous. Okay, that's me. Right. So I want to keep the skills I have, I want to keep sharp, I want to work them every day. I love the sweat. I like to work out, but that keeps my mind sharp. My nutrition keeps my mind sharp. So fitness, the workout part with nutrition combined makes me sharp for my job, my family. Right. That's important. There's balance. My first 20 years, by the time we got to 809, Aaron, I'm getting 3 meals a day from a window. I mean, it's just, I became like a 300-pound land tuna. Okay, so I actually got 299. I never hit 3. I never saw 300 on the scale, but I got to 299. And I'm like, this has got to stop. Because I've always been, fit and doing stuff and working out. And I'm a Marine, I'm a boxer, I'm a black belt, I'm all this stuff. And now I'm with this load. Just like I let all this stress get to me, all this stuff. I ignored all that stuff to chase the dollar, right? To chase this. And that was another part of the, the big change. But so you've got all that, right? Again, we are talking about family and your faith, really, really critical. Now, here's the one problem Like that sounds great. Okay. But when your business is a hot mess and it takes you to do everything, there's no 5 F's in your life. You're unable. That's the prison. You're in prison. Everything else is outside those bars, right? It's way out there and you can't get to it. So you have to fix the business, get it systemized, get it running itself, delegate. We automate, delegate, and we eliminate. Those are the 3 things we do in business, right? We make it so that other people can run it, right? We start to eliminate ourselves from that business. That's what's critical. Now, once you get that, now you can start looking at the 5 F's. I'm not saying you can't do anything during that time, but you can't, because your mind is always going to be on the broken business. It's always, I got to be there tomorrow. It's never shut off. You're never going to have that presence with your children or your wife or husband. You're just not going to be able to. I lived it. And other clients I help all the time are living it. And that freedom that comes from that, when we talk about freedom, profit, and impact, that's where it comes from. You fix that, and all of a sudden they are free. They have mind space, they have the bandwidth, and they can do things they never thought they were going to be able to do. And their spouses definitely thought they were never going to be able to do that. I have one client, I was talking to her, she's like, Richard, we spent a week at Myrtle Beach, like with the 5 kids. And like, he was never on the phone. We were just enjoying each other, man. The kids, and we're swimming. We just the most unbelievable. I thought it's been 8 years. I thought that was never going to happen. Like that was never going to be a possibility. She's like, this is the greatest thing ever. He's like present. I'm like, that's why I do what I do, Aaron. I want that testimonial,
Yeah.
that it changed their life, right? I mean, that is so awesome. And his kids are still young, so it's like the perfect time. Now you can make a difference. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's really powerful, isn't it? If you can have that kind of impact on people's lives. Do you have any issues with getting people to let go, to take that step back, to delegate more, because I
Oh, yeah.
imagine that a lot of these business owners are really gripping on
Yeah.
tight, so it
Yeah.
must be
Yeah.
difficult to kind of convince them to get down that path to that point.
Yeah. I mean, it can get kind of deep, and there's times where I'm firing people in their business. They're telling me, well, what is he still working there for? Fire him today. Dude, I can't. You can. I'll do it. Put him on the phone. I said, I'll fire him right now. I go, this guy's a cancer. You get rid of him. He does not belong on your team. This is not what we're building, right? This guy, show up late, leave early every day. Like, no, he's out. Okay. So they went from it take 3 weeks to do that down to like 2 days. So I've had to train them. But a lot of guys, they believe they're the best at what they do, which could very well be true. I was the best at what I did. But one day, so I'm building all these water features, right? And I have to place the stone. I got to make it. My guys are doing the work. We have machines. Everything's good. Well, one day I couldn't be on the job site. They're going to do this water feature. So I say, here, do it here. Get them started in the morning. I'll come back at the end of the day when they got it done. So they build it. They're going. They get done. I walk around the backyard. The homeowner, the woman, comes out onto the deck in the backyard. She sees the waterfall going. All this. She goes, it's beautiful. I've never seen anything so beautiful in my life. And I'm like, man, I'm free. They don't need me. My guys don't need me. She doesn't know that. They're like, I would have put a rock over there. I would have done this, but no one cares. No one knows the difference. Only I know the difference. So if you can have someone who's 95 or 97% as good as you, your customers won't know. You got to let go of the hammer. Okay. You got to put it down and just go, I can train them up another 3%. I can make them as good as I am, right? You can do that, but you got to let it go so you can go do the things that you have to do. What we call the 5%. Focus on the 5% of the business only you can do as the owner. The vision, reeling in the big clients, right? Understanding growth and strategy, that kind of stuff. So yeah, it can be a challenge, Aaron, because it's their baby, man. It's their child. It really is. And but if you can, the outside eyes is what I am. I call myself, I'm the outside eyes. I can see everything because I'm not attached to it. I can make decisions because there's no emotion involved. And you have to train yourself to be that way. You're always going to have that attachment. It's always your thing, right? But you have to understand it's for the business. It's for the vision that we're trying to fulfill for our business. And so you're doing it for the good of I'll quote, company, meaning everyone in your company. That guy who's the cancer, Get rid of him and watch the productivity go up. My guys were working 6 days a week, right? Working hard, 10 hours, 12 hours a day. Finally, one day they came and they're just the best guy. I'd say they're just the greatest team ever. And they're like, is there any way it's hard. We got to do everything on Sunday. We got to shop. We got to clean our clothes. We got to do all this stuff because there's no time. I'm like, yeah, man. Well, all right, let's do this. Let's do 11 hours a day, 5 days a week. Now you're guaranteed 15 hours, time and a half. You get 15 hours guaranteed a week overtime, and you get weekends off. How about that? They go, okay. The productivity went through the roof. I mean, because we couldn't do anything in 8 hours because you're traveling a half hour to a job and back, so you're losing all that time, right? And I'm like, this is amazing. They're fresh. They get to do their stuff, right? So little things you stumble on and figure out. But the same thing, even your people, they don't have balance. They didn't have balance. They're working. They'll do it for the money, but you're like, it's really kind of like abuse. I'm kind of abusing these guys, man. I love their willingness, and I'm a hardworking guy, but remember, the average person, the average employee is not you. They're not going to figure things out. They're not going to systemize your business for you. Okay, no matter how skilled they are. They want to come and do what they do. They want to do that and win, right? They don't want to fix your problems. Okay, that's your job as the owner, right?
Yeah, and they, no matter how keen they are or how much they want to succeed, they're never going to be as invested in it as you are if it's your business. I mean, it's just not possible, is it? They wouldn't have that same emotional connection to it.
Right. If they were, they'd have their own business. Right. They wouldn't be working for you. They'd be your competitor. Right. I mean, that's the reality. So you have to understand. So the big part of this, Aaron, is let's talk. Remember, I mentioned automate, delegate, and eliminate. So automate, people get, right? Like, you want to automate whatever you can. We want CRMs and we want software and we want virtual assistants who can do things, and we can give this to other people and it runs itself, right? It makes us more efficient, everything else. We get that for the most part. It's the delegate part that's really difficult for people. They think they just can tell someone to do something, and that's delegation. That's called abdicating, actually. But you're telling someone to do something that they don't know how to do, or you don't know how you want it actually done for your company. They may have done this for another company, but the way that company did it doesn't work with your company, right? So now you're just going to tell them to do it and walk away and shut the door of your office. Well, they're just going to sit there and they have no idea what's the expectation, what's the goal, what's the actual outcome, why am I doing? They don't have any of that. Who do they actually talk to if they can't figure it out? Do they come back to the owner? Do they talk to a manager? What do they do? Right? So that's the big mistake, because you have to build out the lane first. This is the chore of the owner, right? This is a responsibility you have. If you find a great salesman, I mean, he's king closer, right? This guy closes deals. Okay, he doesn't just sell, he closes. He makes money. And you bring him on the team and you sell him on the whole thing. That's going to be awesome. And you drop him into this hot mess you have, where you don't give him expectations, don't give him goals, just say, go sell a lot. Okay, that guy's not staying. Okay, because you're saying maybe you can systemize the business, make it the way you want it to be. And he's like, I didn't come here for that. I came here to close deals and make myself a lot of money and make your company a lot of money. I'm not going to hear you build your business. So you have to build that lane out. Here's the expectations. Here's the consequences. Here's the goals. Here's all the metrics. Here's what you can do. This is how you do it. Here's the content. You build out that lane so he can drop in and run at full speed to the goalpost. And then that guy, he's not going to leave. He's going to love it. He's going to enjoy coming to work because he gets to succeed without it being torture, right? That goes for every other position in your company. You've got to build this stuff out. Now, here's the challenge, Aaron. You're thinking, okay, well, who does that? I'm the owner who's wearing 9 hats already, and now you want me to go do that? You want me to build this stuff? I have no bandwidth. No way I'm doing that. So, and you're right. So when I ask every business owner I've ever consulted with and worked with, do you want your business systemized so it runs itself? 100% yes. Right? Okay. See, so let's get to work. You and I will do this. And they're like, yeah, that's not happening. I'm not doing that. I have no desire to. I can't do. I'm doing all this other stuff. So that's 100% no. I'm not going to do it myself. So like, okay, now I have a challenge, right? It's a coach. Well, how do I fix that? Oh, I'll just work with the teams. So I get the permission. I get introduced to the team. It's your sales manager. It's your office manager. It's whoever it is. It's the warehouse guy. And I'm going to go in and show them how you systemize. I'll give them the documents. I give them the resources. Here's the progressions, 30, 60, 90-day goals. And you get incentivized at the end when it's complete. You're actually getting a bonus. You're not going to do this getting paid if you're making $50,000 a year. This isn't included. Okay. I'm going to give you whatever that is worth to me as an owner. So if I get a fully systemized department that runs itself, people in charge, that's worth a lot to me. Okay. Because we're not going to have to fix that for like 10 years. Okay. So you're going to get a few $1,000s as a bonus as soon as you complete that goal. And you do that throughout, right? So they're incentivized and you do it. Now not only are they incentivized and they're rewarded, they also have the buy-in. They created it. So like this is their baby now. They built their lane with guidance from the coach. And then I'd bring the owner in at the end. What do you think? Tweak something and look good. Oh man, this is great. Okay, good. Next, bring on the next department. We'll work with them, right? Or do them simultaneously, right? So we can speed the systemization and get that done. So that's the delegate part. Most people fail because they're putting them into a really bad place, and that's why they can't retain people either, because they don't. Even places with systems, there's other issues that they don't keep people, but that's a primary one in most businesses. Now, the last one's eliminate, right? And we get it, cost overruns, right? Redundancies, all that easy stuff, trim and fat. But what they forget to eliminate as an owner is themselves. They need to eliminate themselves from this day-to-day task. They have to get away from that. Again, back to the 5%. They've got to focus on the 5% of things only they can do. Imagine if everything in your business is running and you're sitting in your big old desk chair there looking out the window going, you know what we should do? And you start thinking like that. Yeah, I could grab this section of marketing. We could come up with we could innovate, right? I can do this. Oh, we can build out the vision. We can drive towards this. Everyone can be on the same plan, right? Everyone's now working for a purpose. How do we do that? Let me build that out. Right now, you've got the mind space, you've got the time, the quality of life, right, to do that. Now you're a real leader. You've empowered them, you've given them the authority, the ability to do their jobs the best possible, and now you're going to lead in that way with the business, right? Sounds amazing, doesn't it?
Yeah, and so I spent some time in the military. And I know you have nothing like what you did. I was in the Royal Air Force, so I was in a hotel chilling out. You know what I mean?
You're like my little brother. My little brother, Chair Force. He's in the Chair Force too.
Yeah, it was very, very relaxing. I'll tell you that. But my point is, like in the military, this very systemized like this. They delegate a lot. You push out. Within your sections, and it's very empowering. They tell you, there's massive buy-in to the vision and, to what whatever organization is doing. If it's the Marines, if it's, the Navy, if it's the Royal Air Force or the Army, there's massive buy-in to what they're doing. They're always selling, this is the vision, this is what we're trying to achieve. And then they're always delegating and empowering people to take action and act. And there's always clear guidance and systems in place on how we're going to go about doing stuff. So did you take any of that stuff from your military background, or is it just stuff that you've discovered along the way with business?
Yeah, there's no better chain of command than the military. There's no better example, right? If you want to talk chain of command, you just look up, whatever your branch, whatever branch, and it's all the same, right? We all have a rank. We all know what submission is, right? Submitting under rank, that kind of thing is really good. So that was a big takeaway, right? That works because you're part of it. I think the other thing for me, being a Marine, we have a little different mindset in general as a whole of mission accomplishment. Okay, so it's do it or die. Okay, it's just like die trying to do it. Like we want to achieve our objective no matter what. We want to adapt, we want to overcome, do that kind of stuff. And we know and this is just for U.S. Marines, you're going to do it with the least amount of equipment. And if you have equipment, it'll be the worst equipment in all the forces. They give us all the garbage, they drop it down, but that's part of the magic. It's not the sword, it's the swordsman. Okay? So there's no, as they say, no finer friend, no fiercer enemy than the U.S. Marine, right? We can do a lot with nothing, right? So it's a man and his rifle. So we understand that, right? So I can take that with me too. So when I built my crew, for doing all these water features. People are hand digging ponds and doing all this stuff. Like they get 8 guys and whatever. They knock. I'm like, no. We are going to be the special forces of water feature building. I'm going to get mini excavators that come and dig that pond in an hour. We're getting these things done in a day. We're making $10,000. Okay, we're doing things. I'm getting the equipment. I had 3 guys building like world-class stuff, right? 3 and me. And we're going in and doing things that other people would take a month to do. We do it in a day. Fix grapples on great alls. We're placing 150 tons of boulders in a day. I'm like, you can't touch us. We are the elite. Okay, that was my mindset, right? I'm like, I just can't help it. Like, I have this warrior mentality. I'm like, I have to do it in everything that I do. Sharpen the spear. Well, what's that? Well, that's sharpen the spear. Honing entrepreneurial warriors on the battlefield of business. So everything I do is that focus. So yeah, you could say it influenced me a little bit.
Yeah, but it's good things to bring into it, and I think a lot of it transfers over into business, and the military, especially the US military, has been is so big, and they've ironed out so many problems, haven't they already? Because they have to be successful. So they know generally, or have a real good idea of what works with leading teams, with creating environments that people can be successful and can achieve things that they wouldn't ordinarily.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Aaron, because you have to think about this, right? It's that fine tuning. That's what businesses do. You have to keep improving. You have to see what's broken. You got to see what's cracking, right? What's wearing out due to stress. How do we improve that? How do we keep that from going all the way and breaking down? How do we maintain that? How do we make it easier for our people to perform? They have night vision goggles. Okay, that helped a lot. Okay, that was really good. I was in when they first came out. They were like $6,000 a pair. They're like these giant things we put on our face, and it was great for snake hunting out in the desert. We did that. That was kind of fun at night. But we were supposed to be looking at aircraft, and at night without landing lights on. I'm like, yeah, these don't really work. Can't see anything. So they'll turn their lights on, and okay, now I've got a blurry blob of light. Okay, not really helping us, but they were fun, right? But they improved all that stuff, right? They kept improving that. Now look what they can do with that. They're unbelievable. All the technology, GPS, all that stuff, right? Make it better, make it better, make it better. You have to be an innovator when you're an entrepreneur. There's no maintenance. There's no maintaining the status quo. You're forward or backwards. There's only 2 directions to travel, right?
Yeah, because everybody else is going forward, or all the competition is. So the successful ones that are going to lead there. So if you're not going, you get left behind, aren't you? You're going to be.
Yeah, competition is it's so incredibly important. So I have an equation I made, and it's, so if you're picturing like 2 parentheses, inside is D plus A minus E. Then outside that is times C equals results. That's desire plus action minus excuses times competition equals results, right? Desire is the dream, right? Desire lives on your pillow. That's where desire lives, okay? It's on your pillow. Action is what gets it off the pillow, right? You got to take action on your dream, on your desire, okay? You can't have any excuses. They cannot exist. They just can't. It's minus excuses. And one of my favorite sayings is, excuses are the nails used to build the house of failure. Okay, I always love that quote. It's just so good because I don't like excuses. Times competition. Now, competition comes in all shapes and sizes. You get it on the athletic field. We get competition, right? Easy. That's an easy one. I'm talking business. I'm talking about your own life. I'm talking about the rituals that you create every day that you do to make you better. Competing. How do I get better? What's the next conference I go to? What's the next mastermind I go to? I have to compete myself. This is terrible. I'm the smartest guy in the room. I got to get out of here. I got to get with smarter people. I can't be the smartest person in the room. That doesn't work for me. My ego feels good, but it's not helping my business, it's not helping me grow personally, right? So we have to understand that competition is the critical aspect to all of that. When I hit the bag every day, when I train, it's an opponent. I guarantee it. If you see me working out, first you think I'm a nut job because I'm making noise. I'm putting a hurt on someone. But everything I do that's an opponent. It's not a bag. I'm not just jumping rope. I'm not just shadow boxing. I'm against an opponent. So for me, that mindset for me is always going hard. That's my personal competition. And I unloaded this morning, Aaron. I, I, it was magnificent. Okay, I went really hard. So it's the weird things I know, but it is so important that you're a results oriented individual. Desire plus action minus excuses times competition. That's where you're going to get results.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that, because excuses are just us letting ourselves off the hook, in it really. It's us just saying, oh, well, I'll accept this not being good enough. I'll accept not doing that. I'll accept this. And I imagine within a business that can be really detrimental.
Yeah, try doing it as a Marine. Okay, like you don't answer. The only answer you have when they ask why, sir, no excuse, sir. That's your answer. There's no other. There's no other answer why this happened, sir. No excuse, sir. If it went wrong, it's all on you, buddy. That's that ownership thing, right? It all starts at the top. Any business that's really bad or they have an issue, I go right to the top. It's just like your kids. More is caught than taught. It's coming down from on high. Someone is doing something or not doing, whatever the action is or inaction, and it starts at the top. That's the only place you can go to start to fix something. That's why I work with the owners. I don't go start with the laborer. I don't go out in the warehouse, right? I deal with the owner because that's where it has to come from. It has to start from the top.
Absolutely. And this stuff always filters down, rather than you can't push it back up. It all filters down. So, whatever example is being set at the top is ultimately going to determine the culture of the entire business, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And I think business culture is one of those other things, Aaron, that people talk about. It's right up to with work-life balance. So you got work-life balance, and they say that, they don't know how, they walk away. And they also say you need a better work culture, and then they walk away. Well, what the heck does that mean? Like work culture, what is that? Like, can you tell me how to define that? How do you create a culture in your business? This is what, and people ask me that. I go, well, I can show you how. Like what is the culture? Like there's a culture of this is a horrible place to work. The boss is a jerk. No one ever stays here. And you got to be really dumb to stay here. That's why they only hire dumb people, because they're the only ones who will stay. So nothing is good, right? So you go through all that stuff. But culture is what? What is culture in a business? So my solution for that is to show them how to build a vision-driven business. Like we know the mission statements, right? We're going to be the best this, best sales, we're going to best customer service, blah, blah. And they put that on the wall. Trash. Absolute trash. The only person that is serving is the owner, their ego. Why would I care about us being the best in sales? Why would I care about serving? Why? It doesn't benefit me. It doesn't mean anything to me. How do I fit in that? You just have a thing that becomes wallpaper that you walk by every day and never read. You read it once and it's forgotten, right? But that's what people do. So we want what's called a strategic vision. We want to move the entire company in the same direction with the same purpose individually to achieve this strategic vision. Okay, and how we build it is it's what we call a future cast, which means we're not doing it now, but we're going to be doing it. Right? This is what's going to look like in 18 to 24 months. This is what we're going to do. Now, we write all this out. It's the customer journey inside the business. So this isn't marketing. This isn't like, oh, you'll expect it. Nope. It's how we do it. The first call comes in for our product or service. Then what happens? All the way through to delivery or whatever that is, right? Delivery, doing the service. What does that look like inside your business? Every single person. How does it affect every position? What does it look like? Who are they? And it's part story form, right? You're going through it like, hey, John, our sales manager, came from this place that used to treat him like this, this, and this, and he did that, couldn't get it. And now we do this, this, and this, and he loves it here for this, right? So we start to build this stuff out so people see the flow inside the business. And now you show them where they're the hero in the journey. So if you're not here, if you don't perform what we need you to do here, what you're given, like this can't happen, this outcome that we're going to serve people at the highest level and all that, do have this amazing experience for them, that can't happen without you. Right. And they buy into the vision. Now, when we talk to people, are we getting closer to the strategic vision? That's what we want to do. Now, this is very high view, right? Obviously, we get into great detail with this, but just understand, like now, people come to work, and I'm gonna say this every time we roll this vision out, and it's 6 to 10 pages, 15 pages long, pictures, everything else. I mean, literally, is this document that you roll out. Everyone will read, and they'll highlight where they fit in the business. People will, I'm not kidding, they'll cry, right? They get choked. They're like they've never seen, like they're given purpose. Purpose is the number one thing people want. It's not money. Money's like third or fourth. Purpose is number one. They want to work somewhere with what they do matters. They want to know they're doing something that matters, right? And if you do it right, it doesn't matter what your end product is, okay? Because they're going to see themselves fitting in a certain position. Matter of fact, we give them this before we even interview them. Say, read this. And they read it. We get on the phone. We say, all right, did you read the strategic vision? Well, if they say no, then we're done with the conversation. No, I didn't get a chance. All right, you have a great day. Bye-bye. Okay, you can't follow directions. You're not working here. We can just start right there. But if they do, I say, well, where do you see yourself fitting in? Oh, I'm that warehouse manager, man. I love warehouses. I can operate a fork better than anybody, man. I love getting that stuff in order, having a super, and they give you this whole thing like, okay, let's continue the conversation, right? But they saw where they fit in this. And they're excited because, like, that's a really cool position, what you built there, what you're building, right? So that, and then they continue the conversation. So that's a process, right? That's a filter. It's a filter at the very beginning. They understand who you are, who your clients are, how you serve them, why you serve them. That's all in the strategic vision. They really understand what they're going to be doing there, who and how and why, right? So it makes it awesome. So as you make that, build it, go forward. Now, if there's a problem with someone, you just say, you look at them and say, well, you're really not able to fulfill the strategic vision. We got to let you go. Now it's not you're a clown, you're a slacker. It's like, dude, it just comes down to we're not fulfilling the strategic vision. We got to let you go, right? So we want to make sure that we're moving that way. I've even had clients, and I'm talking like medical professionals, like a doctor who stepped down from the position because she felt she had so much personal stuff going on in her life that she was dragging the team down. She couldn't fulfill the strategic vision. You're talking, this isn't some $10 an hour person. This is high end, but she felt the conviction because of how strong the strategic vision is and what people are doing in the team that she removed herself. Now, no one wants to lose a medical professional, like those are hard to replace, but that's buying into a vision. And when you can't make it, hey, if I ring the bell as a Navy SEAL, I'm going to quit. That's because I can't fulfill the vision, right? That's if you want to think about it that way. That ringing the bell is, but you're not going to be good to the team, right? So you got to step out. So that's strategic vision.
Yeah, and it's crucial, I think, for people to buy into what they're doing and have that, feel a part of the environment and part of the future of what's happening. Because if you don't have that, then it is, you're just coming in, you're clocking in, you're going home, and you'll do the bare minimum, and you just want to get out of there. You're doing it just for your own purposes, for the money. And if something better comes along, you'll jump like that. But yeah, if you have some buy-in, some connection, you're creating, an emotional connection almost to what the business is doing and to the people in the business. And I've seen it, companies without and with, and it's very, very powerful when you get that buy-in, when the people they'll go above and beyond and they'll do things because it matters to them then a lot more than just, I've just got to do this because I've been told. It's a case of, they want to help their colleagues, they want to help everybody in they build this relationship of we're all doing the same thing, we're all this one team, we're all rowing in one direction, rather than it's just me as an individual going and then doing my thing and leaving.
Yeah, it goes back to the point about money like being third, right? So you got purpose is number one. Second is recognition and quality feedback. Am I doing a good job? Do you value my suggestions? They want to know that kind of stuff. Third probably is money, because if money was number one, you could get sold out for 50 cents more an hour, right? They'll just go to the next job to get more money because they don't care. So people don't want that. And they don't want to move around. They want to have that purpose. They want to know that they come what they do matters again, and everybody else matters, and you all work together in the same thing. So those three things are really, really important. And you've seen it. I've seen it. When you get a company, and that's how you change the company culture. Like you roll this out, and they're like, "This is what we're going to be." I've had companies that have been in business 40 years, and we changed their culture. Multiple 40-year companies, right? And it's like we change it all, and that's why people are like crying. They've been subjected to what was for 15, 20 years or whatever. And now they're seeing that we're actually going to do this. This is amazing, and they're all excited and keyed up, So again, there's a lot to it, but that is how you change the culture of a business. That's how you define your culture. Because a lot of businesses don't have a culture. They just have do it and get it done. That's the culture. Leave your problems at home.
Yeah, I've seen that. And a lot of people then, when stuff is going wrong or there's a bit of criticism, it's even harder to take then when there's no positive culture, no buy-in, and then you criticize people and they're like, well, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't need to be here. That's kind of attitude that you get.
Yeah, it's people's our greatest liability and our greatest asset. It's a two-sided coin. Okay, so I believe when you're talking personnel and people on the team and who you're bringing in, I want to bring in assets. Just like we talk about acquiring assets to get that passive income, this is the same thing because an A player, a home A player is a great person on the team is free. They're an asset. They create way more value than they're being paid for. All right. So they are free. So you have to really get your mindset that way. You want to build them up. You want to not just their competency, build them up as people as well. Right. Really make this great. You've got that purpose. You got the recognition. You've got the money, and you're also elevating them in their competency and just as a human being, doing some really great things. You get that, those people are going to perform, like you said, above and beyond. They're going to go above and your customers are going to love them. The experience gets better and better in your whole company, and that's what people really value is the experience. Whatever the experience is, it's not the product per se, right? It's the experience of getting the product. Like I talk about in construction. You could have 5 kitchens, brand new remodeled kitchens, right? Here's 5 pictures. Look them all, they're all amazing. Go talk to each homeowner. Well, tell me about your kitchen. I love it. It's beautiful. Yeah. Well, how was it? He goes, I'll never do it again. It was the worst experience of my life. Dirty, swearing all the time. They're doing this. They don't communicate. They got all the complaints, right? Everyone's got their construction horror story. If you ever had anything done to your house, right? Well, then you go to the 5th one and they're like, oh, it's the greatest thing ever. It's probably the finest experience I've ever had. World-class experience. Like there's never an issue. Everything was clean, buttoned up every day. Communication. They have a client advocate. And I just dealt with one person the whole time who handled everything. The experience. That's what they paid for. And that's what you have to develop. It's all about that. When that is amazing, it just makes the end product better. When you go to a great restaurant, is it really just the food? Because if I brought that to you on a picnic table, it's not going to taste as good. But you come in with the lighting and the booths and the wait staff and the multiple courses and the wine flight and the music, and you got the whole thing. And it's just, that's why the food tastes good. The ambiance, right? It's the experience of the whole thing. You can do that with any business. And the greater the experience, right? The greater the value, which means what? The greater the price you can charge. That's how you increase your margins, by doing that.
Yeah, definitely. That's the reason Starbucks does so well, right? Coffee's so expensive at Starbucks.
Yeah. They want it to be the 3rd place, right? You got work, home, and Starbucks. Okay, that's a tall order, but that's what they did.
Yeah, they just make it that experience where people want to, like, I'll do it. I've got a coffee machine here with actual Starbucks coffee pods. I can make my own coffee here, but I'll still drive and go to Starbucks to have Starbucks for the experience. I'll sit in there and just...
And it still tastes different. I don't care what you say. It still tastes different when you go there. Whatever the little magic they do there, I don't know. Again, maybe it's the whole experience too. But yeah.
I don't know what it is. Maybe it's an emotional thing that makes it taste better. I don't know, but it definitely does. And coming back to it as well, like obviously about making that in positive work environment. we spend a lot of our life in work, don't we, as employees and stuff. So we're spending 40 plus hours a week in work. So if we're not happy there, then that's going to roll on into our personal lives, and then that's going to make
Yeah.
that worse. And surely everything's just going to snowball.
Yeah, I think what we do, what I really like to emphasize when we build things out for positions, we do levels and job functions and all this really great stuff. But I talked about we want them to improve in competency. So we look for three things: calling, character, and competency. Okay, competency being the third because I can always skill people up. We can always make people better, right? They come with a little bit and I get them a lot. Character is a challenge. If people have bad character, according to my definition, I can't fix that. Way above my pay grade, don't have the time, don't have the interest. Now, if they're like 8 and I can work with them, I can fix their character. I can't fix a 20-something, 30-something's character. If they show up late, they don't care, they got all that stuff, not going to be on the team. Calling is a person who is, let's use a customer service. You talk to someone and you're talking, they see the vision, they're talking about them, and they're like, oh yeah, I love it. This is my favorite. I love solving problems for people. I love talking to people. They're all outgoing, super extrovert, all that. They're called to be that person, right? So they're going to thrive in that position. They're going to do a really great job all the time because they're called to do it. I want that person, right? They got the character. They're decent people. The competency, they've done it. They're good at it. I know I can make them even better. So I've got those three things, right? So we have to build that as we pull these people in. But at the same time, inside their job, what we call their levels, again, they can improve on competency and things like that. But how do we help them be better people? Just people. Like, what can we do inside those levels that can give them an edge as become a better person? Because where do they take that? They take that home to their families. And their families are where? In the community, right? So think about this, Aaron. If I'm going to help 10,000 business owners create freedom, profit, and impact in their business, okay, that's 10,000, but I make their employees better people who then go home to their families, who then go in the community. I'm touching millions of people with the method that I'm doing, right? You're changing people because the interactions are completely different now and stuff, right? So it's a really powerful thing. And that's why I set these goals. I want to do this because I've seen the downside we talked about in the beginning, right? Of being trapped in the owner prison to the freedom that you can actually have. What everyone thinks they can have and they kind of know it, they just don't know how to do it. So we show them how to do it. We make it happen. And it's just, like I said earlier, it's the joy of that for me. This is weird, but other people's success is far more gratifying to me than my own. And I've done some really cool stuff. But when you change those people, you turn that business, you get there right, and they're, again, like their families, and they see it and they tell you, and it's just, that's a life-changing experience. It's awesome.
Yeah, I bet that's quite incredible, to be fair. But when people come to you, Richard, are they generally at a point of almost despair, or is it just they just want to tweak things, or what's the general?
They're at kind of a point where they're stuck. Like, I'll give you one example of a client. Like, he was scaling rapidly. Like 2 years, he's at 10 million a year. Okay, he does these biologicals and all this stuff. But he contacted me. He's like, listen, I'm just going to be honest with you, man. I'm sitting outside my building at 2:30 in the morning crying. Like, I can't do this anymore. I don't see my family. I work. We're scaling. We're doing all this stuff because I'm going to sell. I'm going to sell the business. I can't do this anymore. And we got talking and said, well, will you give me a couple months? Let's get started. Let's make this. And so we did. Everything there was chaos. Okay. You think the owner does everything? So is everyone else in the business doing everything. Okay. So it was like, whoa, let's compartmentalize this stuff. In 3 months, it was like, so he speaks on stages all around the world. He's like the best at what he does. And he would tell me his phone's ringing all the time in his pocket while he's speaking. It's the office calling with a problem all the time. Right? They need him to fix it. We turned all that around, Aaron. Is amazing. He's like 3 months later, then 6 months. He's like, we just went, I did a lecture. I did that. Then my family came with me, whole family. Spent 4 days at the dunes. We're doing this and this and this. Phone never rang. It's unbelievable. I can't even believe it. And now we're in trajectory to scale to 30 million, right? Controllably, comfortably. Everything's in place. Everything's planned. There's strategies. Everyone has their place now in the business. It's amazing. So you get that. And then you get people who are like, it's good, but I'm trapped here. I'm not crying yet, but like I don't see the future. I can't see, how do I do this? And we come in for that too. And they're willing to do it. Again, they're making some money. They're doing okay, but they can't get the freedom. And the freedom is what they truly desire, above everything else. That's really what they want, because without you have freedom, profit, impact, they're not individual. You can't have one without the other two. You can't make impact if you're broke and have no freedom. Okay. You can't make profit if you have no freedom and no impact, right? You can do it, but you're never going to have freedom. You're never going to have impact if you focus just on money. Freedom, you can be free and go hitchhike across the states and, ask someone for a hamburger once in a while so you can eat, but that's not freedom. Okay. You're not making an impact and you're not making any profit, right? So the three have to work together. So that's why we focus on these three. That's how you come together, because then what? The 5 F's start to happen that we talked about earlier. Right. So that's really where it's at. And once they see that and they get that, because internally it resonates with them, but then we lay it out like that, they're all in. And the great thing about entrepreneurs, just like you probably like this too, we all have a work ethic. There's no slackers in business owners, okay, because they wouldn't be in business, right? They all work really, really hard. If I can just start with that, I can do miracles. As long as you put in the time and have the willingness, again, I can divide it up, but they're not afraid to do new things. They're not afraid to make the change, especially if they see they're stuck. They know the potential. They just don't know how to get there. So I love taking them there.
Yeah, that's it. I suppose if they knew how to get there, they would have done it already, I would imagine. So that's the biggest part of it, isn't it? Come in and get that guidance, especially you've done it multiple times for, different people
Right.
in different businesses, different walks of life. So I imagine that's really, really helpful to them, leading on that experience and, having that guide to get them to where they want to be.
Yeah, you want to get off the hamster wheel. It's just a hamster wheel. You're just running and running, because if it was going to work, it would have worked. So just understand, that's the definition of insanity, right? Keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result. So you got to bring in the outside eyes. That's all I'm saying. Whether it's me or some other coach, get somebody to come understand the value of that, and you'll see things change rapidly.
Yeah, definitely. When you're in it and you live in it, it's so difficult in it to step back and take that, that bird's eye view, that big picture, and understand actually something that's got to change here. Otherwise, I'm going to keep going around in this circle constantly.
Yeah, and that's just it, isn't it? When we talk about that 5%, focus on your 5%. Guess what you are now? You're outside eyes. Now you can see the whole picture. Right now you can lead. You can lead from the front, the back, the middle, any place you want to be. You get to be as a leader. You get to build as a leader. You get to empower these people. You see the whole picture now because the blinders are off, and you understand how to make this. So yeah, it's brilliant.
Brilliant. How do people get hold of you, Richard? How do they find you?
sharpenthespiritcoaching.com. That's the easiest, simplest way. You can send me an email through there. You can book a call in there. You want to talk to me. Love to talk to people about their businesses, where they are right now, how we can help. We assess to know exactly where they're at right now. A lot of great tools that we use. Bring them into the fold. Love to help them. sharpenthespiritcoaching.com.
Brilliant. And what about your book? Can they find that on your website as well?
You can get that on Amazon, Escape the Owner Prison. Find that on Amazon. Or let's do this. Since they've stayed all the way to the end of this great conversation, I'm going to give them a gift because I'm on your show. So if they go to sharpenthespiritcoaching.com, go to the contact page, they just have to send me a 1-sentence email and say, Richard, I heard you on Aaron's show. I want the free copy of the audio version of your book. And I will send it to them. You'll get Escape the Owner Prison, full audio version. I'll send it to you.
Brilliant.
For free.
Brilliant.
Real free. Like it's going to cost you nothing.
Love it. It's a bargain. Can't say no to that, can you? Can't say no to something free. About the book, so you got audio version of the book as well?
I have it if I send it to you. I don't have like Audible version.
Okay.
It's professionally recorded. It's me reading the whole thing, but I never went to the final steps to do the official audio version, because then I can give it away and it matters. See, if you could just buy it, what fun's that? So now I can. It's mine. If you get it, it's because I let you have it.
I like that. I like that a lot. How did you actually find writing a book? Was it difficult? Is that something you're pretty good at writing, or is that something that you had to
Yeah,
work really hard at?
I've been writing since I was a kid. That was my creative outlet when I was young. So I can kind of write creatively. This was in me. This book was in me. I knocked it out like 3 weeks. I
Wow.
had an editor. She was amazing, and the good, especially a great editor. She literally would like put a comma here, move one word to another spot, and make it just. It made it awesome, right? So I don't take 100% credit, but they did the little things, but they just let me write, and I just knocked it out really quick. The hardest thing we did, title, brutal. 27 working titles I had, Aaron. 27. I went with the 28th one, Escape the Owner Prison. Okay, so I'm like, they weren't happening. Then the subtitle, oh my gosh. I'm like trying to work through it. Thank God for the editor. She fixed it. Well, just say that. I'm like, oh, that's perfect. I'm like, get done with that because that was the hardest thing. You know, those two things, the title and subtitle, brutal. Book, piece of cake. Working on a second book now called Sharpen the Spear. That's going to be really cool. Really, really
Okay.
unique. And, but yeah, so it was really, you call it labor of love, I guess, but it wasn't even like labor. I just knocked that. And then it hit bestseller in like 10 categories on Amazon. And that's really cool. And, so yeah, it was pretty good for the first time out because I took the desire, I took the action. I didn't have any excuses. I competed myself to get it done quickly, and poof, there's a result. Best selling book. I had to tie that
Amazing.
in.
I like it. I like it a lot. So you're working on another one now, Sharpen the Spear. Do you know when that's likely to be out?
I don't. This one's a little harder because it's a really. I'll give you the premise. So you've got a young entrepreneur, young family, going to the thing, right? He's in the owner prison, basically, right? Doing well, but all that. Then I've got a business coach who's a former special forces operator, okay, who's an incredible business coach. And these guys come together by this meet, and then they basically like save each other. I'll leave it at that, right? Everyone's got issues, right? We all got our issues. Well, these are pretty big on both sides, and they end up. It's a really cool journey, and you see how you scale a business properly. So you have this whole journey of scaling a business to get where they want to go, and then the interaction between the two and how they is. It's really cool. So there's a lot more to it than my first book, and I really want it to be on point and just really impactful. So it's going to take a little bit longer, but I'm enjoying the ride.
Yeah, it sounds really interesting. Actually, it's is that so? Is it going to be? How is it going to work? Is it going to be just a story from start to finish, or is it going to be a story with like sort of broken up teachings in it, or
Yeah, so you're going to go through the experience. You're going to experience how to do it with the personal side wrapped around it, because you don't do one without the other. I mean, we're human beings, right? When you bring in a coach, like not every coach matches up with every client. I fired plenty of clients. Okay, that's just not doing the work, and we're not jiving here, man. You are way too meek to work with me. I'm a little high voltage. You are going to just be intimidated the whole time. So we're not going to be able to work together. I got just a coach for you. Okay, I'll give him someone else. But so there's all that. There's that interpersonal stuff. That personality matchup as well is important. So you really get to experience all that in this story, and you see how it works. So there's a lot of takeaways and a lot of guides I'm putting into this. Like you're going to want to read it with a highlighter. You really are, because it's going to be that kind of, that's what I want it to be. It's not a departure from my other one. It's like part two, like you fix it, you escape. And now this is like the whole process with the story intertwined, because the first one has my story, which is really good. But this is like, you get to be kind of that fly on the wall and watch all this happen and journey with it and watch the accomplishments. It's cool.
yeah, it sounds cool. To be fair, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Right, I'm not going to take up any more of your time, Richard. I really, really appreciate you coming on. It's been great to have you on, great chat. I'll make sure I put all the links in the show notes so people can find you, especially if they get all that free audio book. So I'll stick that link in there for them. A
Love it.
little
Love it.
reminder.
Thanks, Aaron. Yeah, this has been fantastic. I appreciate the time. Just letting me speak. It's been a great exchange and stuff. I know we hit a lot. We covered a lot. So I appreciate that very much. I'm on a variety of podcasts. Some are 15, 20 minutes. Some are 2 hours, so everywhere in between. And this has been just really nice to keep the conversation going. We hit a lot of great points.
Yeah, it's been brilliant. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And we'll speak soon. Take care. Hey, listeners, if you've been enjoying They Not Like Us, I'd really appreciate it if you could take a moment to leave a positive review and subscribe. It might seem like a small thing, but for an independent podcast like this, it makes a huge difference. Your support helps the show get discovered by more people, allowing us to bring on even more amazing guests and continue sharing content that resonates with you. So, if today's episode or any past ones have sparked something in you, hit that subscribe button and drop a quick review. Your feedback keeps this community growing, and I'm so grateful to have you along for the ride. Thanks so much.